was rather inactive, so we had to get reignited. And so on. And yes, that was with the Keller Williams Preferred Properties in Maryland.
So has KW been you've been KW the whole time you've had your license, James? Okay.
Good morning, my name is Stephanie, and I have been licensed about, it's been so long, it's been about 3 months. My first and only home, so.
It was my first and only home too, so you're in good company. Yeah, there we go. Yes.
I'm new to this. Just joined Keller Williams like a week ago. So yeah, I just got my real estate license. Just passed PSI, yeah. Yeah.
And your name?
Oh, my name is Celine, so that's Moss. I have a long name.
So is Celine all right to call you Celine? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Stop for a minute. My name is Darlene Avila Ortiz. This is my handsome son. I have been in the business, way back in 2000. I started with Prudential, got my first sale in 2 weeks when I started. I was sidetracked, so I had some personal things come up, which took me on a different way. So I started traveling the world, things like that. So when I had him, he wanted to be a realtor. So to motivate him, I decided to come back into the business. And he went through the school, and I kind of went back to school with him. And we took our tests together. We were doing everything together.
Yeah.
So we decided we'll be a mom and son team. And I'm really excited.
Awesome.
I'm ready to go out there and get some sales.
Yeah.
And have fun, and this is his first big career.
Yeah.
We're both healthcare providers, but we need something that can keep us, we want to be financially stable.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to working with everybody and getting to know you all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, all right.
Ryan O'Loughlin, I've had my license for 3 weeks.
Okay. Oh gosh, y'all are newbies. Okay.
So this is my first. Prior to this, I'm an attorney. So I'm switching.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Were you doing real estate law? Oh, oh, hey, my sister's an attorney, so I know all about that. So I hear that. Okay.
Well, you guys gave me like a lot to follow. I'm Mel. I have been with the office since June, but officially licensed since August. And I came from education as an administrator in elementary.
Wow. Well, sorry to lose you in elementary education. Yeah, but happy to have you here. Yeah. Yeah, they are. My mom always says, so glad I paid for that babysitting class when you were younger. She says it all the time when I'm on the phone. So with clients. So and Arnita?
Yeah, hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Arnita Smith. I have been with Keller Williams. This is my first week, but I haven't even got my license here yet. So, but I'm looking forward to all of the endeavors and the encounters in which I will have the opportunity to partake in. And I come from a financial background, 20 plus years.
Awesome. All right. So it's a house full of newbies. Yeah, because well, yeah. I don't know about that. Come on, Peggy. I think the oldie standing in the room is me at 21 plus years. So but but my mom was an agent, so I grew up in the business as well. And it's a great family business. And a lot of the successful teams in Keller Williams are family teams. So it's also an incredible place to get your individual education. I was an individual agent when I started. I've kind of lived through every incarnation. So I was an individual agent, did a lot of buyer's agent work at the time, Then when the crash happened, I had some great relationships in the region, and Leo Pareja, who is now the head of EXP, was the #1 agent in Keller Williams at the time, 30 under 30, and he had the biggest Fannie Mae foreclosure account. And so I opened Central Virginia for him and got a partner, and I had the Justice Barton Realty Group. So my partner was an attorney, and so she did all the short sales. I did all the in the field work with foreclosures, and she handled the very cumbersome computer work that goes along with foreclosures. And we did that for a couple of years, probably 4 years. And that was great. Then life happens and we went in opposite directions. I have done commercial as well as residential my whole career. And so I was headed to Colorado to do commercial. My best friend moved out there and I got an offer from Sarah Reynolds Aji. You may know her from social media. She is the CEO and my leader and partner in Empower Home. So she and her mother, Debbie Reynolds, started the Reynolds team. And when I started with them 8 years ago, when she asked me to be her first expansion partner, they were closing 411 families that year. And they were #8 in all of Keller Williams at the time. So we have gone from that to we'll close a little over 2,000 families this year. And we're now in 10 locations across the country. And I was the first best yes is how that goes. And so I have a team here in Richmond. And we actually own a building down on Broad Street across from it's the High Point building across from TV6. So Peggy's son, a very successful son, rents a space from us in that building.
It's the coolest building in Richmond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, the Bernie building, everybody calls it the Bernie building, yeah, yeah, so that led me 8 plus, little over 8 years ago, to that partnership, and, we're the #1 team in Keller Williams International.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
That-
yeah,
That's a big deal. y'all.
yeah.
We're among. royalty.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know about that, but hence the coffee, cause I'm real tired, y'all. So thank you for sharing a little bit about your stories. Makes a really big difference in terms of going through these modules. And so, as I said, I'm a little loose. I really know that stories teach best. As an elementary educator, you would know that. So I'll try and share as many stories and ask about stories with you all. And then certainly if I have a lot of high C's, an attorney would be a detail-oriented person. I will do my best to stick with answering any specific questions, but I'm going to move fairly quickly through the slides, and I want it to be interactive. So I really want you all to sort of raise your hand, ask questions, anything that sort of comes up and comes to mind, because this is about you. So I really, and each of you are fortunately at a pretty similar place, besides Peggy and I, in terms of being active, because you have not been active for the last 20 years, have you?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, so you had to start all over, right? Okay, yeah, so that makes a big difference in the stories that I think will fundamentally help you as you're really getting up and running. Has anybody had a client yet? Yay! Working with one currently?
I got 2 currently.
Okay,
One's an investor. He's high maintenance.
they all are.
Oh.
They're high maintenance and they're not loyal until you
No.
really earn it.
I think
Yeah,
we've established a good relationship. And
Uh-huh.
we've been working together for about a little over a year.
it's good.
I've got 6 deals under my belt,
Okay.
but they're very spread out over the 2-year period.
Right,
So
okay,
just got my AVR designation.
okay.
So
So you've worked with buyers.
mostly buyers.
Yeah.
I've had one listing. It was a rather challenging listing.
They're all challenging right
And
now.
I like this one. We still managed to get it through FHA financing, so it was a miracle,
Okay.
small miracle.
Okay.
But yeah, so.
Okay. Is anybody else currently working with clients besides Peggy?
For you with this one.
It
It might happen today, y'all.
might happen, yeah. That's right, that's right. Well, I will share with you all as much as I can. Our team is famous for our scripts and dialogues and you know, how we move things through the pipeline. You know, the lifeblood of your business is your pipeline. You know, we're going to talk about the market here in this first module, and define your value in the second module here. And I'll do a break at, you know, at about 50 minutes and have a 10-minute break so you guys can return phone calls and take care of business for a few minutes. Defining your value will be really interesting because you're all at the beginning, and it's a really great place to be. Connecting with the market, let's kind of follow along these slides. And this is very true. I get the honor, and it's a real honor, of being in Gary Keller's mastermind. So I get to fly to Austin once a month or be virtual to be in a room with the top 200 teams in Keller Williams, the rainmakers of those teams, the head lead of those teams. And it's an amazing opportunity to be in the room with Gary. Obviously, I've been in the company for 21 years. I've had the fortune to meet him a couple of times in person. And I put a lot of trust genuinely and value genuinely in what he has to say about the market and what he thinks, and what he shares. So I can tell you that there are two tenets, two things you must abide by in order to have true success. And it is know thyself, not lie to thyself, not kid thyself, but really know your strengths and weaknesses. And subscribe to and utilize the tools that enable you to really know that, meaning your DISC profile. Most of you should have taken the DISC when you signed on, and also you don't do it.
I don't think so.
Really?
Did you?
KPA did.
Who did the KPA? Yeah, the KPA, but not the.
But not the
It's
DISC.
something I'm gonna bring up that I think.
Yeah, you do. The KPA is much more involved, and really you need the rudimentary foundation of the DISC profile. So the DISC profile is the dominant, direct individual, right? They're high paced. They're less than 1% of the population. In truth, they're generally your entrepreneur, who is starting, who is starting a company. That's key. Hey there. And that's really important, to know your DISC and then be able to mirror. It will enable you to mirror and match the clients that you're going to meet, right? And it's a really important tool, and it's part of KW's language, right? So that will be really key. And another component that I think is super important is strength finders, to be honest with you. Gallup has a strength finders test that you can take. It gives you can get your top 10, I think, for like $25 or something like that. And you can pay a little more and get your top 34, get your 34 strengths. But those top 10 and the top 5 in particular, integrating that with your DISC will enable you to see where your strengths lie, and how you can apply those to the systems and models that KW provides you.
Can you identify the DIS?
Yeah, so the D is a dominant personality. As I said, it's less than 1% of the population. They're a driver. They move fast, they speak fast, they make decisions quickly, they pivot quickly. An I is an influencer, typical salesperson. They want to bond. If you say, "Oh, I just went to a party on Saturday," they say, "Oh, I went to one on Friday and it was amazing, right? There's a lot of mirroring that happens and a lot of collective energy that will happen with an I. If you have an appointment with an I and you're an I, you need to stick to a format or you'll be there 3 days, right? To keep things on track. But they're a typical influencer, right? They're social, they want to connect, they want to be liked. And that's a key tenet of most salespeople, really, who are very successful. They're more successful if they apply themselves with systems and models, right, to keep the train on the track. The S is a secure person. It's a team person. It's a lot of admins are SCs. So the C is a compliant rule person, needs structure. They're engineers, they're architects, they're lawyers. They want to know what the rules are. They want to play by the rules. A C wants to play by the rules. And S wants everybody to like everybody. They will do all the things to make everything move smooth, right? It's really important to them that everybody like everybody, that there's no, anxious energy, right? They work overtime to make sure that everybody's happy. The I is over the top, social and happy. The S is more quiet and just sort of fixing the things in the background, right? They're the amazing right-hand person to a D or an I, right? They keep the I on the train track in a really nice ahead of them kind of way. Most S's have a high C, have a good amount of C, so they do understand structure, and they're great for a D because Ds don't do detail. They have vision, they speak, and they expect. And then they expect y'all to make it happen, right?
I'm sorry.
No, absolutely.
We wasn't here on Monday because we had a prior engagement.
Mhm.
So I'm guessing this was all discussed on Monday.
No.
No,
Oh, no?
no.
It's just this is an aspect of Keller Williams that we have not really gone over.
Oh, okay, because I'm like lost. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's personality profiling,
Oh,
right?
okay, okay.
And it's been the cornerstone of my career
Mhm.
personally.
Oh,
And I have spent a tremendous amount of time learning about that, covering that, utilizing that with my team, using that with my clients. And it is a tenet and a foundational piece of Keller Williams language and brought up in many trainings. So you've done the KPI, but the DISC is a little more user friendly. Do they all take the KPI?
So KPA, when you first.
KPA, excuse me.
You'll take KPA, which is a personality assessment, and you'll get there.
oh, okay, I was like, no,
You'll get there.
okay, okay.
But can I just add this,
Yes.
will tie into creating your value, what value you bring
Yes.
to your clients and-
Okay.
and finding that value, that's part of like the steps.
Okay, so.
Adequate. Okay.
Did you want to say any?
It's a good topic. I remember sitting in a room like this when I first started and hearing this conversation. When you negotiate as well, like identifying who you're talking to, whether it be you're negotiating with your client, Joni,
Mhm.
or I'm negotiating with another agent,
Mhm.
being able to recognize what personality profile is at the other part of the table helps you with your plan of how you're gonna achieve the goal, right? Because I know that you and I both have been up against high D personalities when it comes to negotiations, and that's when like, well, if you don't want it, I don't care, we have 4 other people that want it, blah, 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 right? And they just like, and so you have to know, okay, I'm dealing with this individual, how do I navigate that? Versus somebody who is a rule follower and the way you slow down your conversation. And I wanted to make sure that the documents I got out of the MLS are correct. Like that tonality change is the difference between either getting a deal or someone going like, I don't know, that person was like way too much for me.
Right.
And as they're talking, I met with a doctor last week who was like super high D, who came running in the room, was like, blah, 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 and like ran out. And I was sitting there like,
Right. It's like
what just
it's
happened? I think just this conversation, the way that I was like, as I was listening to you say it, I used to hear this when I was in Ignite.
Mhm.
And now that I'm, 20 years into my career, I'm sitting there going like, this is the super important part about how you meet somebody somewhere to achieve the goal. Because again, that doctor left, and I remember like calling my mom, and I was like, because my mom's still in the medical field, and I was like, wasn't a great experience. Like he might have done everything correctly, he
He
barely
might be
even said
the most
hello.
Brilliant surgeon
Right,
in
and
the
so I'm a little
world,
bit more of
but-
a high eye, I enjoy
Yeah.
conversation, and so when someone just like runs in and runs out, I'm like, whoa, so just you have to recognize that. As you're going throughout your business and how it affects what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
thanks for letting me drop in. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I think you have another person coming in, come on in. I'll give up my seat. Right.
You can sit right there. Or I can get you a more comfortable chair. That's not gonna be very comfortable, honey. Sit you. You're welcome. You're welcome. What's your name?
Alexandra.
Alexandra. Hi, Alexandra. I'm Joni. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
So again, I've like already taken a left turn. That's just, because I know what's important for you all. Fundamentally, what is going to be key for you to have success out of the gate. And this is a primary, what was the module on Monday and Tuesday?
I think, mindset about getting your mind ready to be a realtor.
Okay.
and Starting in the business, right? Yes.
Mm.
I've only done. I just see something, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's kind of starting with mindset because that's really where it starts.
Right.
Is getting your head ready to
Yeah.
go into what Jen talked about. It's like
Right, and
setting yourself up as a realtor.
yeah, and what I'm sharing with you in terms of these, the disc and the strengths. Communication solves 98% of the problems. Right? I believe fundamentally where we are in the world, literally the world right now, is an overabundance of information and an inability to communicate effectively. And this is a communication business. And he or she who communicates the most effectively wins. And you modulate your communication, and your communication is influenced by your strengths, right? So like my top 5 strengths, number 1 is strategic. So that means I'm gonna think a strategy. I see patterns. My strength is in seeing patterns and in creating a plan and executing that plan is really my 6th strength, right? But I can create one with no effort, right? It's a natural strength. My number 2 strength is empathy. So I'm very empathetic. I'm very sensitive. I can sense from one word, a tone, and know where it's going to go. That just is a gift that I was born with, that I got from God. I'm super grateful for that. It can be hard though, because I can't override it. Like I sense it, it's there, and it's poking at me, good, bad, or indifferent, right? Learner is another one of my strengths. So I do like to learn. I like to amass information. I have a fairly high C, so I'm very detailed. I love to take detailed notes. I like information. Input is also trivia was a game in my family that we played at the dinner table. My dad does the New York crossword puzzle in pen, right? And he owned my family owned the oldest patent researching firm in the country. So my dad did mechanical searching, right, of inventions. And I did trademark searching, that was my high school job, right? And so input of, kind of trivia and interesting little snippets of information is another strength of mine. And so I know how my strengths apply to my disc. So my disc is an ISC, which is an influencer, a high influencer. My S and C are below the 50 line. They have a graph like this, right? My I is high. My S and C are below the 50%, but they're still relatively high. My D is adaptive, right? So I do actually speak quickly. And if I'm up against a D, I will, from experience, beat them to the punch of being faster. and shortening my presentation and knowing they're not going to hear it, right? My empathy allows me to know just from their body language how they're going to receive what I have to offer walking through the door, right? So I say that to you all so that you make that investment in those two tests, because they give you really good information. And both of those sites you can go back to and go deeper in that. So Gallup's Strength Finders and Abelson's DISC profile. The office, I think, does have a account with Abelson. So definitely,
That's on my list to add. to
Yeah.
the training.
yeah.
To do that.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit in module 3 here about the market. That's the second piece that you need to know. So what you need to know is know thyself first and foremost, because then you're going to know the market, and how you're going to convey that information really is based on who you are, right? And what your strengths are. Some people are going to be better at creating a presentation and executing that and presenting it. And some people are not going to do that. So I can tell you as a high I, in the beginning of my career, ran my career by my sphere of influence, right? And I won listings with, I was quick, I was really knowledgeable about the market, and I conveyed it really fast.
Excuse me, when you say you were quick, what exactly do you mean?
I didn't hesitate. So I did not hesitate. I was able to deliver information quickly and speak with authority, right? If a D walks into the room, Gary Keller is a DC, right? If there's just a command, there's a sense of authority that comes with it, that I adopted really early, right? So my D is fairly high. When I was bartending, I bartended at Stella's. I worked for Stella. If you all don't know Stella's, it's an amazing restaurant here in town. I worked for her for 17 years. And I was a bartender and waitress. My favorite job of all time, period end. Love that job. And I was a really successful bartender. My I was really high, right? I knew how to have quick, short, meaningful conversations that allowed me to make great money. Being tipped, people always closed their checkout before they left the bar with me instead of rolling it over to the waitress. You know, those kinds of things. I learned how to read people really quickly and serve them really quickly. When I got into real estate, my D got higher. I adapted to the pressure of needing to pay my bills, right? If I went to work at the restaurant, I walked out with money, period end. I knew how to set a goal, and I unfailingly met that goal. And I knew how to do that very early on. And that carried me through. When I changed careers to my grown-up career, is what I always thought of real estate as, my situation changed very much. And I was under pressure to pay the bills, right? To get a client, to get something to close. I had never worked and then not been paid for 30, 45, 60 days, right? And so I had to make that transition, and I became much more of a driver, because I was looking for who was gonna do the deal, right? And then I was gonna hone in on that. Whereas if I'm an I might just like you and appreciate you and want to have a conversation, and I'd love to help you sometime, right? Whereas a D, you know, I'm gonna walk in. I'll tell you this story really quick because it's so relevant. Is this another person? That's okay.
So Joni, essentially you just saying just quick responses, quick replies, that's it.
No, I'm not
That's what I
saying,
wanted to-
yeah, no, I'm not saying that. Well, because if it's not natural to you, it's gonna come off short. That's not what you want. what you want is to know yourself well enough to be able to mirror and match, right? And less than 1% of the population are Ds. So you're not going to run into a lot of Ds. But you are going to run into people who may be a high C and they're afraid, and so they come across as a D. Right? So that's an adaptation. So it can be very deep. And I don't want to, I can teach a whole class on that at some point, but it's very important. I really feel strongly that you need to pursue that, Peggy, to make sure that they're getting that.
Story of me,
Mhm.
because I think this might be helpful to all of you that are new. My very first deal was with a very strong agent on the other side, one of her team members.
Mhm.
And I am, well, I think I've shifted, but I am like high eyes to the, Joni and I are very much the same person. So she's getting more at the D than I am, but I was up against a high D.
Catherine's a DC, like Gary
But I'm
Keller.
talking about my client who decided to buy this house. I met him at an open house. It was quick. He wanted the house. He didn't want to deal with me. He wanted the house. And he was a high D. He was a CEO. He told me everything he knew. He gave me a whole market analysis. I'm like, oh, it was my very first true deal. So I was like, holy cow. I don't know what to do with this person. Like, I don't even, so I was in panic mode. And he mowed over me, like, whoosh. So I learned real quick, okay, I gotta win this, I gotta make it work, I gotta negotiate, I gotta, and Catherine, the
My right
person on the
hand.
side, she coached me through it, thank God, because
Yeah.
it would have been a disaster. But it was somewhat of a disaster.
It
But we won.
was,
But we won. But my point is that knowing this now, if I had known that then, I would have had a much better tool case to go into that. But I learned real quick that I was up against someone who was completely unfamiliar to me as a person and as a functioning business person. So it's important, I think, in real estate when you do get when you do get a client to just really understand your value proposition coming in with them, because it's gonna be different from, say, if I get someone like Alexis, who is, I won't identify Alexis, but I know where she falls, because I know about it. But like, it would be a whole different dynamic, so kind of having that tool case, it just.
Because as an I, you have to adapt in that situation and you have to become a D. And you have to walk in with a sense of authority.
Oh, yeah, I
And
had to really pull myself.
because they discredit everything you say.
Yeah.
And if you take too much time, they discredit because they think you don't know what you're talking about, because they could have delivered that in 2 sentences and an I will take 12. And not even know that you're taking that, right? And it's not that you don't know the information, it's just that they are so rapid,
So
right?
And direct.
What
Yeah.
type of client you're having, so you can adjust yourself,
Correct,
so you're not chasing them away.
correct.
Cause my experience is like yours, that's why I was laughing.
Yeah.
Because I was rusted in, I was doing some advertising. I had never even seen a contract, okay? Somebody called me up, said, I need to see this house, showed them the house, and they were like, yeah, I'll have it, and I was like, and inside I'm like shaking, and my broker was like, wow, I've never seen it happen like this.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to do, but luckily, I had someone holding my hand
Mhm.
at Prudential,
Yeah,
and they walked me through it.
Oh, that's what we did.
Yeah, and luckily, cause if I didn't have them, I don't know. I mean, my client luckily didn't see me sweating, but my heart was like, do. And I made a pretty good deal. I mean, I got, at that time period for 2000, I got $3,000 check right off the bat, which back then, that was
good check,
that was
yeah.
good. And to make a sale in 2 weeks, and so, but I did a lot of things. But my client he knew exactly what he wanted.
Yep,
He was not playing games.
nope,
It wasn't like the type of client, like, you know, they kind of like, okay, I need to see another house.
Yeah.
He just walked in, he was like, I like this. Then asked me many questions, was like, yeah, I have it.
Right.
And that doesn't happen very often. How often do you get a client, you walk in and he's looking around and he looks at you like, yeah, I don't need to think about it, yeah, and it was a nice house.
Right.
So I was like, this is a joke. Somebody's playing a game with me.
But you're an I, so you took, you know, like a D would have relayed that whole story in 2 sentences, right? I mean, that is the difference. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so very, very important. I mean, I believe it's fundamental. Like, you all shouldn't be doing any other modules until you really know yourself, is my feeling.
Yeah.
Patrice wouldn't be happy I said that. So, but I'm just saying that's how it is.
Ignite is it does take you through this journey from that point
Mhm.
and just kind of understanding how you relate to what we learn in real estate,
Yeah.
to how we end up in a deal and how we navigate that.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
Beauty of Ignite.
And listening to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, like when it was a big thing to say, you know, Automobile University, when I joined Keller Williams, that was a huge thing. It's really true. You know, whether you're listening to the podcasts that Gary and Jason are putting out, whether you're listening to the actual Millionaire Real Estate Agent book on CD, on tape, on whatever, playing in the background will never, ever fail you. It just won't fail you. I mean, it is the bedrock of this incredible company.
What podcast are you speaking of?
He has the MREA podcast. He also has the Mountain podcast. I'll get the names for you and have Mal put them out on an email so that you have those, because it's really important to listen to those. There's a lot of information to take in, and you need to be clear about where you're taking that information in. And as you're building, all of you are in the same place. A year from now, what your life is and your business is going to look like will really depend on how much you adopt the systems and models and actualize them, right? It's going to be super important. So this is a truth that Gary says. Here's the truth. If it has been done in another market, it can be done in your market. Once it has been done, no matter where, it's just a matter of finding out how that can be possible in your world. And he built his entire company on that philosophy, right? He had a little shoebox that he had his index cards in, and he had them done out by the 30 days. He tells the story, you know, all the time. And then he would, on the first day, he would contact the 10 people that were in that, and then he would shift them to the, you know, to the end of the pile after 30, and then he'd work his way all the way through, and then he would just start over, right? It was about systems and models. You will be bored to death with what you're doing. It's the hallmark of real estate agents. It's a hallmark of any career that attracts people with a lot of social skill, right? Oh, there's the shiny new thing. Oh, this will answer all your questions. This will solve all your problems. Pay $29.99 here, pay $5.99 here, pay $100 here, you know, all that kind of thing. The truth is, if you have the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, Sarah Reynolds, who is, you know, as I said, is the head of Empower Home, carried that book with her everywhere. I mean, we're sitting in this room. She had her computer and she had that book. She took it to the printer and had a spiral put in it. She had tabs of different colors. She underlined stuff, and she went from A to Z, and then she started back again at A. And that is how she built the team from 8 years ago, celebrating 411 families served, to doing over 2,000 8 years later. Yeah. So systems and models, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to know our market. So there are 3 types of markets that you're going to deal with. We have a buyer's market that has more than 7 months of inventory to be sold. There's a balanced market from 5 to 7 months of inventory. That is your shift market. And then the seller's market is less than 5 months of inventory. Does anybody know where we are?
Seller's market.
I think we're sounding in balance.
Can we just change it?
Are we?
Huh?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Where,
There's more inventory, right?
Mhm.
But because things like interest rates and things like that are dropping, their buyers are creeping out of the closets to get their houses.
Mhm.
But isn't it when there's more inventory, it's sellers? It's more inventory is buying. I'll just look at them. But I can explain.
If you go technically speaking, it seems as if we're in a seller's market, but it also depends on the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I've seen some neighborhoods where there's clearly competition, so
Mhm.
that's to the buyer's advantage, they have options.
Right, well, location
Correct.
makes all the, does make the difference in the world. We're in a buyer's market. So because inventory is not selling,
yes,
Because
it is not. You're right.
people have an unrealistic idea of what their house is worth at this point because they still think it's 2021, 22, 23, right? Beginning of 24. And they're wrong.
So it shifted just
Yeah.
last year.
Oh, yeah. So we just came out of a shift. We're not gonna be totally out of a shift because we're sort of like this, right? And interest rates will have a huge play on what happens. You should be wrangling for buyers. We just had the biggest interest rate drop we've had in over a year. And so buyers' affordability is up. And you should be screaming that from the rooftops on your social media and in every conversation that you have.
And we've had a very high percentage of price drops in properties.
Yeah. I mean, so there is, if the seller has a strong listing agent, if they have a strong listing agent, they priced it correctly to begin with. And it will have sold within the first 5 to 11 days in this current market, if it is priced correctly. If it is not priced correctly, you're looking at 30+ days on the market. A strong agent is not trying to tell the seller what they want to hear. They are going in with authority about the market, and you're not begging for business. Because especially, I will say this to you all as independent agents who are paying through the nose for your marketing to really make the impact that you need to make as an individual, you must be judicious about the listings that you take. And it is really why the majority of people who get into the business are buyer's agents first. And you can make an incredible career as a buyer's agent.
How do you respond when you're a listing agent and the seller does not want to come down or either go up on the price? What's your response?
Well, when I go in, I go in with a spread, right? And I educate the seller. Here's the market. Here's based on your motivation, James. Here is the range. You and I are going to discuss this and you're going to pick. It's your asset. It's your home. However, this is the range with which we can accomplish what you want. If you're at this end of the range, the high end, time will be a factor. And more than likely a price adjustment will be a factor. And I get that price adjustment written in the listing agreement. So, because we're not having an argument about it later. Right? And if you're in the middle, then, less days on the market, but not optimum to get the most people through the door. Right? The lower end of the market is you want to get people through the door. 8 to 10 agent represented buyers through the door is where you will get your first contract. That does not include an open house. Right? So I sold a house this weekend that needed work.
Oh, so.
Oh, it sold, multiple offers above asking.
I figured so.
Yeah, so, that I priced strategically to get the most people through the door. We had more than 6+ parties at the open house who stayed longer than 20 minutes at that open house. It was in Huguenot Farms, a very sought after, old, non-HOA established neighborhood in Richmond, right? Very sought after near the river, right? I had an offer by the end of the first weekend, and I negotiated and I got more offers. So we ended up with 4 offers. We went above asking by 15, 20K. And that's not happening commonly in this present market, right? Certain location, yes. But that's to say I went in to the seller with a very clear range and what the expectation on that range would be. This was not an updated home. It's an amazing home that is owned by a woman who is 102 years old.
Wow.
And her son-in-law is her power of attorney. He was a previous client of mine, a wonderful guy. But she lived in that home until 4 months ago. And it was gently lived in. It was just she and her husband, because they bought it when they were 50. Or not quite 50, right? So no children in the house, I mean, it was in flawless condition in terms of like the floors and, all the things. Had the new tone system in the wall, labeled mom's bedroom, the den, living room, all that. So cool. So in answer to your question, Arnita, I am leading from the beginning. I'm not letting the authority in the room is me as an agent. You're hiring me because I understand the market and I have experience in the market. And I understand how to provide you the data and answer your questions so that you can make the best decision, Mr. Seller, that you need to make, right? And it's too many agents let the tail wag the dog because you want the business. Oh, I want this listing so bad. You've lost. The minute you say, I want this listing so bad, you've got clenched fists and you've got a vision you want, and then they immediately start chipping away at it, chipping away at it, chipping away at it. And before you know it, you've walked out and you're like, I got the listing. This is, this is going to be right. Because this is going to be so hard and it's going to cost me so much money and it's not the price I know it needs to be to sell. Like, you don't do it. Do not do that to yourself. Focus on buyers because buyers are happy. Whether it's their first home, whether they're downsizing, whether they're buying investment property, they're in acquire mode and they're happy. Yeah, I got it. This agent that I called to say your folks got it, she was like, she hasn't been an agent very long, and she was just like super excited. And I'm like, yeah, my family is super excited that your family, that you represent is going to get this home instead of an investor who's going to come in and flip it. They did make offers as well, but okay. Inventory is the number of properties for sale within a market. So what is the inventory of our market? Right? So what's the number?
It's about 1,400, something like that.
It's a little less than.
It announces at every sales meeting.
Yeah.
So if you come to a sales meeting, you'll get. these
Right.
numbers every week.
But you should be checking it every morning. Every morning on your dashboard on MLS, wherever it is on your dashboard, on my dashboard, it's the bottom left-hand corner. It's gonna tell you how many active listings there are. It's gonna tell you how many withdrawals happened. It's gonna tell you how many expired happened. It's gonna tell you, you know, days on market, all the data that you need for your business. And you are responsible to know that. And I say that to agents all the time. Like, don't call yourself an agent if you don't. This is people's biggest asset. It is their biggest asset. It is the biggest decision for most of them financially that they're ever going to make. And it is your responsibility to know the market.
And it's,
Sure.
it's also, I will say, knowing that every day in your day-to-day life, when you identify yourself as an agent to just anyone, whether it's a friend or whoever, the first thing they're gonna say to you is, well, how's the market? I hear it's really bad. So it gives you an opportunity to say, well, actually, I just checked into this morning and the market is this in Richmond. And then you've got that conversation. And then the more you sound like you know exactly what you're talking about, because you do, then they're likely gonna say, well, hey, I'm really looking to buy a house. You got your lead.
Yeah.
So it's good information to have every morning. So when you step out the door, you're loaded with what you need. And those conversations, trust me, they come up. The minute you say you're an agent, that conversation comes up.
Yeah. And speaking with a sense of authority and knowing that a teacher's not going to go into the classroom and not have their plan for the day, right? Or they're in a lot of trouble if they do, right? So it's very important for you to be able to speak with authority about the market, good, bad, or indifferent, you know. There is no bad market. The truth is, I lived through the crash. And the crash provided me with an opportunity to sell 113 homes in 2012, right? So there's not, there is not a bad market. There is you not doing your research and preparing yourself for the opportunities at hand. And you are a self-employed entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs don't get caught with their pants down. They will try things and things won't work, but they pivot easily and quickly. And even if it's not their nature, they're an SC and pivoting quickly is not their nature. They're passionate about what they're doing, and therefore they can adapt and move quickly if they need to change directions, right? So that's where your disc, your strengths, the knowledge, and applying those where that coalesces, right? And is so important. Interest rate and lender regulations. Make contacts with lenders in your area so you can stay up to date on your market and answer any questions your clients may have about the process. So one of the things you're doing right now is developing your team. What I say is have 2 vendors for every position on your team, and that you are interviewing people to be on your team, and that you should present it that way to your vendors. So you need to call Burgess Inspections, House on a Rock, Capitol Home Inspections, and you need to interview them. Tell me about your inspection process. Tell me about how you interact with the buyers who have hired you. Tell me good and bad stories from inspections that you've done. Buy them a cup of coffee and do that until you find somebody, 2 somebodies, because you need availability, and you do not want to have to rely on some number in the phone. You don't have to run up to somebody in the hall and say, oh, my inspector's out sick, I need somebody else. And you end up with somebody you don't know. So find out who the top 3 or 4 inspectors are in the area, interview them, and have 2 that you're saying, I want you on my team. I intend to send you business. And I'd like you to send me business. And I know that you have, 100 realtors that you're dealing with. However, I just sat down with you. I just added you to my team. And I want to be in your top 5 consideration if you have business to hand to someone else. Because we're the beginning of the pipeline, right? You know, where we turn the faucet on and everybody else makes money if we're able to score a deal. And what you need to know is that you're a business person and you need to run your business, red light, green light, like a business. And you need to have a team of people who have the same values that you do, who operate in the same vein that you do, that you have a great relationship with. I can call Dallas Hall of Advanced Well and Septic at 3:00 in the morning. That would never happen, but I could do it. And Dallas would answer the phone. He's done my septic inspections for 18 years, right? Burgess Inspections. I've been working with Burgess Inspections since Skeeter the owner was out doing inspections. You know, he doesn't do them anymore, right? He's an owner, he's grown his business. But that's key. You need to know your vendors, and your lender is key to your success as a buyer's agent. So you must have 1, 2, 3 lenders. I say that because you need a local lender from a local bank that has access to grants and local opportunities that a broker won't have. So like Prime Lending is a broker. My company, Empower Home, has Empower Home Mortgage. They're brokers, right? William Hendricks with Integrity Mortgage here is my other right hand. He and I've worked together for 10 years. He's a tremendous loan officer. I have immense respect for him. He has terrific systems and models. And I know if I send someone to William, if they're qualifiable, he will do it in an extremely timely fashion. And it will be an accurate approval that I can stand on firmly with my buyers. So you need to get those people on your team and have multiple. You need to have one local that has access to grants for first responders, teachers, doctors. You know, there are all kinds of grant programs, and you need to have that. Yes, James.
Joni, how does one start off when you're fairly new, not a lot of transactions? You asking that vendor, because you're able to say, and they can look you up as well and know.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna acquiesce.
Mm-hmm.
For the newbie or someone getting started who can't guarantee them.
Right.
And it could be sporadic.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get them to take you seriously and keep you a priority?
Yeah, so that's a great question.
As we establish.
Yeah, as you establish it.
Because they're only as good as our partners.
Right. Well, you do it through communication and intent and clarity, right? You sit down with them and you're honest. I'm new. I'm putting my team together. You know, I had a teacher who told me how important it is for me to put my team together. I did my research. You know, you've done a large number of transactions. People in the office speak highly of you. You were recommended to me. I'm looking to establish a partnership. And they, you know, they're in the same position you are. You know, they don't make money if you don't send them something, right? But William picks up the phone and calls me and gives me something after all these years, right? Not a lot, you know, it may only be one a year, but that's more than most people are getting from their lender, right?
Yeah.
But that's through communication. And you're out there looking for business. And when you're out there looking for business for you, you're looking for business for them. And you need to let them know that. And that you're looking to establish a relationship.
Sure.
Yeah. So you're setting the foundation and the boundaries and the playbook and the systems, and then you must stick with it. So don't meet with somebody, say you want to work with them, and then never talk to them again or talk to them a year from now. Whether I had business for William or not, or whether he had business for me, I was in his phone once a month. We were communicating once a month. Hey, what's the market look like for you? Hey, I haven't been able to get any, any buyers, and so we're just touching base, right? You're investing in the relationship with someone who has the systems and models, personality, strengths that appeal to you. Communication. Economic factors. Economic factors play an important role in an agent's understanding of the market. What is the unemployment rate in your market? How many workers are entering or exiting the workforce in your market? What is the growth rate of your community? Has the government made any changes to the rules and regulations that might affect the housing market? You guys know any of this information? It's economic factors.
There's EPA regulations. Government, they said yesterday.
So tell us about that.
I don't. They explain it very, so you can go into it further.
Okay.
I don't know how you do, you use the national unemployment rate to determine that?
Generally, yeah.
They're all in.
Yeah, what you can assume and pretty safely assume it, again, you shouldn't assume, but what you can pretty safely assume, Virginia is economically sound. So even during the crash, when Richmond in particular, Central Virginia, is foundationally pretty strong. So even during the crash in 2008, 2009, we were not hit the way Northern Virginia was hit. So Prince William County, Stafford and above, had the largest numbers of short sales in the nation in 2008, 2009. So the Jen Young team, which is our main competition for Empower Home up in Northern Virginia. So my hub team is in Chantilly, and Jen Young is in Chantilly as well. And so is Leo Pareja, who I mentioned earlier. He's not there anymore, but he was there as well. And she built her entire business on short sales. She was 22 years old, saw the opportunity, went to every short sale forum, met with lawyers, learned how to do the system and models. Gary wrote the Shift book at that time, and she took that book and she applied it, and she built her multi-million-dollar business on short sales, right? Because she saw the opportunity. Well, she saw the situation and she made it an opportunity for herself.
What was her name?
Jen Young. Jennifer Young, Jen Young, Jenn and Young. And she's an amazing person. I've done a lot of work for her down here as well. I can't say enough great things about her. And she saw an opportunity and she made it hers, right? So in Central Virginia, the head of the state government, Commonwealth government is here. We have the biotech center. We have 4 major universities within a 60-minute drive. We're a major thoroughfare. We've got a pretty decent sized port. We've got a train that runs back and forth to New York City nonstop. So we're pretty solid. So whereas Northern Virginia is much more mercurial than we are, that's an advantage you all have. So advertising outside of your area, social media wise, connecting with people outside the area and getting the information you're sharing about our market will enable you to get investors, right? Because if you're in Northern Virginia and a typical investment property is going to be, they have to spend $500,000 just to even get a hole in the wall, right? But they come down here and spend $500,000. They're at a luxury price point, or a multifamily home, a duplex or a triplex they can get for that, which they can't up there. So I worked with many investors because I grew up in Alexandria. I came here to go to college. So I came here to go to VCU. And I just stayed, but I grew up in Alexandria. So I had investors who were buying down here because of affordability. But I did that by networking with people in Northern Virginia. Right? So don't think that you have to be myopic and only deal with your area right here. It's one of the advantages of social media, which I'm sure we'll cover in the next. Goodness, okay. Let's see, other important market factors to investigate: neighborhood numbers, nearby shops and restaurants, nearby health facilities, neighborhood attractions. If you've got a neighborhood you want to sell in, be that expert. And don't be intimidated if somebody is already there really well established, right? Because farming is a set it and forget it kind of situation. If you're going to do postcards, if you're going to do mailings, if you're going to do door knockings, if you're going to do whatever you're going to do to generate business, and you've identified specific areas that you want to concentrate on. So like early in my career, I still do, I live downtown. I live in Ginter Park West, so Rosedale. And I wanted to sell in the city. I understood the city. My grandparents lived downtown in Washington, DC. My dad was born in DC. My granddad was born in DC. My family had a place on Alabama Avenue on B Street, you know, so I'm an urban person and I wanted to sell in the city. And so my clients were in the city. And I targeted neighborhoods and businesses in the city. And I also partnered with businesses, you know? So you can have small events at certain restaurants. You can, you know, you have certain shops. Like I had a girlfriend, Susan Morris, who now has her own, she was at KW for a long time. She now has her own brokerage. And she would do fashion nights. And she would connect with a store, a boutique in Carytown, and she'd bring in cocktails and appetizers, and she would invite 20 clients to come in, and the boutique, it was worth it to the boutique to stay open. And they would get a discount, a 10% off, or they'd have special sale items, you know, for that event. And she built a clientele doing that. Right? So know your numbers, know your businesses in the areas that you'd like to focus, because you will feel more confident, right? So what ahas do you have? As I went way over time, sorry. Who has an aha about what we've been talking about?
I'm looking forward to adding, and I know I should have been already, but adding the check to the NOS, the dashboard daily, and time blocking that into my morning routine, right before I get on my pivot call.
Right, right.
Yeah.
No, that pivot call is good. You're
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So yes, time
He's in the
blocking.
building.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say, I'm
It's
feeling
on this
energy.
hotel room.
James saw me in the morning.
Yeah.
Is that who you were speaking of yesterday?
Yeah, James saw me in the morning. You're sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Facebook, you can join it, and he's phenomenal, and he's in the house.
Yes. He's in the house doing the ALC clinic. So, yeah, super important. So time blocking is key, and adding that to your morning routine, super important. I can tell you it's
Even like, there's a lot of things that we're not gonna know coming as a newer agent, and having that in your back pocket and not having to say, I don't know it yet, and get
Right.
back to you is more powerful than just 5 minutes out of your day learning some numbers.
we're not in a get back to you world.
Yeah. Do it.
It's too late. But
Time is of essence.
it is.
It's very important.
I mean, you know, it's short attention span theater, right? And so
Yeah.
you have got to captivate somebody or you've lost them and they're
Right,
just
but
on to
you-
the next thing. They're scrolling, you know?
Like, you're like, okay, I'll get back to you later. They're on to the next person. They're like, oh, you don't have time for me? Okay, next. So that's the way I feel when I call somebody and I need something done right away. They're like, I get back with you. I'm like, okay, who's the next person I involve? So,
Yep. No, it's super important. Who else has an aha?
My aha basically is really digging deep into this and that APA, learning about who you are first, identifies how you navigate with your clients. And knowing who they are gives you a chance to adjust to where they are, so you can better serve them.
Mhm.
And that also plays a big part in having multiple people on vendors on your team, because that personality of this person may not match one of your lenders or somebody else. So having different
Correct.
people on your team can have you adjust to who they are and better serve them with the people.
Yep, that's how I recommend lenders, personality.
Yeah.
With the lender's personality. If they're gonna be a good fit, they're gonna be a good fit. And I have 3 of them, so.
Oh, crap.
it's- Can't wait to take that disc test.
Yeah. Super important.
I don't know how much it costs, but it'll be worth it.
We may be able to have.
Yeah, you may be able to get it for free.
I would say a big aha for me, just being now going into my 4th year. I believe.
Gosh, has that been 4 years since that deal?
I'm in my.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But I, being a late career real estate person, I feel like I had no idea there was a connection, such a deep connection to who I am as a person, to being a salesperson, to serving, to all of the things involved with being a realtor. And I think what KW provides and what you realize in Ignite is the importance of really having a good, deep hard look at yourself and really building yourself to that level of just feeling like creating worthiness of like, I'm worthy of this, I can do this, I'm
Mhm.
capable. And as a new agent, I feel every bit of it. I'm very empathetic. I feel it in the room. That's that big hump you have to jump over because you're going into an unknown, you're going into something you feel like you don't know yet because you've never done it.
Mhm.
But KW has such a great structure and like systems and models are so important, but also the training coaches. I'm a PC coach, so I can say how valuable that is, but
Yeah.
having that with this knowledge of getting it from Joni, who's got all this experience, just know that don't let it intimidate you and scare you of like, I don't know myself. Just know that there's so much to learn that will bring value to your business.
Yeah.
That we tend to forget when we do other jobs. We just do our job.
Yeah,
It's
it's
one of
just don't go in blind, right? Because I think that's what happens. You go in with an interest and what you think the business is. And I think the advantage of being here at KW, and I think the advantage of actually being in the office, by the way, I think is completely key to and having relationships. And you guys should have your own text group, right? You're starting at the same time. You should have your own Slack channel, whatever it is that would work for you. And the people that I came into this company with, that I came up with, I saw every day. I treated it as a job. And since COVID, it's very easy to stay home. And what I would say to you is do not stay home. Get dressed, whatever that is for you, and at least 4 days a week, get out. If that means go work at Panera, or it means go work at Starbucks, or it means go to the library because you want to, meet parents and, whatever it is. When you're out, be dressed, be out, know your numbers, have a plan, get your 10 names to add to your database. Never give anybody your card. I don't even carry a card anymore. I get their number in my phone. Right? I'm sorry, I just gave away my last card. Can I have your number? I'd be happy to send you that information. And then when you leave them and you get in the car, you text them a video message. Not a text message, a video. Hey, James, it was great to meet you. Thank you so much for giving me your number. Please know that I will not misuse this information. I do want to get the information that you asked me about, or I do have some information that will be of value. But I just wanted you to have a face with the name, and I look forward to reconnecting.
Is there a reason, like, you think that people nowadays, they just basically take the card and be like, phew,
Yeah.
forget about it?
Yeah, they don't.
Because times have changed.
Do you know how many business cards I throw out all the
Yeah.
time?
Yeah,
There, I save a tree,
yeah.
right? right? And nobody who's under 40 knows even what the hell that is. They don't even wanna, what is that, you know? They have a dot, they have a whatever, right?
So when you send a message, it's more permanent, especially like a video.
Yeah.
So they have your face.
If you
and-
send them, it was nice to meet you, they're gonna open it once and they're gonna ignore you after that.
Good.
They cannot not open a video link. We're all wired that way. We're curious, right? You know, so you're gonna, they're gonna open it. And hopefully you're gonna, pop up in their phone. Hopefully they saved you, but they will open that and then they'll go, oh, okay.
They'll be impressed.
They'll be impressed and they'll save it. And when you're connecting your lender or your vendor of any sort to a person, do a video to both of them. Hey, George, just wanted to connect you with my buyers, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They're interested in discussing an inspection with you, whatever that is. Because your vendors get nailed all the time too. And it's just like another text, another email, smile at somebody. Right? You all have beautiful smiles and we don't smile at each other and we don't interact. So smile at somebody. They will remember that. They'll remember the tone in your voice.
It'll be personal.
That it'll be personal, it'll be kind, it'll be engaging, and it'll be 25 seconds. And they'll remember it. I don't know how to get this thing off to go to the next thing. Nobody should ever hand Joni technology. Mal.
You got some techies over here thinking.
Oh, she did it. Okay.
It took
Never
our.
mind, they had techies.
Yeah, we got
They got it. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you,
fine.
Bonnie.
I was sitting up at the desk anyway.
Thank you.
Of course.
I should have had the teacher do it. Yeah, you guys take a break. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care of things.
Yes, take care of things. Go take care of things.
Oh, that's where I'm from. Grew up in church, and then check the bell. Yeah, my kids are doing like a school.
Where'd they go?
John North Tree.
Okay.
The middle school, Tucker High, and then. Oh, the rest of Shakespeare. Yeah.
I was too big East End. I don't know.
Oh, alcohol, yeah.
Iron Springs.
Mhm.
I did some work at Wilder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was mostly East End, I was intentional about staying the hard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
But it's.
Good for you.
James D. Shaw. Joined.
And that's on Facebook, is that right?
No, well.
Oh, that's
there's
what
there's a Facebook group, but then there's also a daily call. And then there's things that he does. Like that. I'm not there yet, but. Like, I don't know.
Okay, right.
That's almost time to go.
In the process.
Join after you got a
Wait, no.
call.
It's like when there's a, whatever email address you use.
Right, and that's how I would
log into.
Oh,
Hey, where are these numbers at?
The numbers on the MLS. They're usually on the.
Do I have to find the co-op or is it the MLS?
You go to the MLS, go to, yeah. Go in there and then go into the actual matrix.
But he's going to find. For that, he works with this company.
No.
Actually had this before.
Oh, really?
I was like, that's kind of crazy,
Yeah.
and I used it the day that I was writing it, the day that you texted me, putting that for coffee. That's the best.
oh, thank you.
What?
but he said that.
I don't know, 5 minutes or something, hardly enough time to do it.
So like, I love that so much. Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out.
Right. So Henry,
And so
I did that.
yeah, so I like that he understands me.
But it's right here.
He's gonna find out.
Read later.
So you can.
So when you get into MLS, this is where she's talking about.
Here we go.
So this will be the landing page for the matrix when you log in. You see this here where it says Market Watch? It'll tell you back on market, expired, lease purchasing, pending, new listings, so 125 new listings.
And that's on the
Pending.
first page, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So when you back out,
And
you'll come in, this is the mobile version. You'll click in the CoreLogic Matrix. That's the MLS.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much.
And when you go, this is contracts and paperwork and all that stuff, but that's what you're looking for there.
Okay, Market Watch. That down.
And it tells you right exactly what's going on. And you just click on the, like the new listings,
Okay,
and it'll pull up all 123, and at the top it just say next. And you can just flip through and see what's coming on the market,
oh,
what just came on the market,
yeah,
what just went pending. Bad thing about pending, I like to know how many, but I don't pay too much attention to it.
how much time you normally spend on that?
Depends on the day. Sometimes I don't do it. I need to get in the habit of doing it every day,
Yeah,
but usually about 20 minutes,
not bad, not bad.
It tells you.
just like quick glance.
Mhm. I would add that pivot call and then I'll add that around 30 minutes for that.
Said it,
Just write it down.
but he just.
It's, wouldn't spend too much time listening
No.
the pending, because it doesn't tell you, anything. It just says it's with pending, but you don't know how much the contract's for, you don't know how much, what the contract terms are.
Right,
So
right.
you won't know that till it's closed.
And then they put some information on there.
They'll have to put sellotape closing costs on there and all that other stuff.
Oh, they put the code cross in there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's required in MLS.
Only, down to like
New listings like that.
the deed, not everything, so,
I'll check it out.
I'm still on your. I know each other, though, that's.
No, you're good, don't worry.
She said that. You need to call Delante. I'm like, oh gosh, we act like, these is for real, but she was just like.
Did you know them?
Yeah,
No, I'm just being out. I
whenever he's ready.
Yeah.
think she said she back.
My friend told me that he's a. She was like, girl, don't have to, like, you don't move in.
Yeah.
And he definitely shows that on the thing.
I'm not worried. Did you come? I've had some people right now that I'm like, I know.
Yeah. And in the meantime, just learning and building. This is crazy business.
That's so weird.
Hire somebody, and they know he's just starting. She was like, I just got my business card, and she was like, don't worry, don't get this card. I'm like,
Well, you can still use them over.
but people always ask me, they ask for one when you don't have it.
Yeah,
So
and
you
that's
can
what
have it,
what
it's
she
just,
says.
sometimes you take what you can, make sure you keep the area.
Yes, well, yeah.
I know it's really
I need to do, there's one contact where you can.
So,
Change.
Oh, if you change,
Like you get their contact information required, but the link, I can send them a digital card. And, but I have to put their number in, so I don't have to put their number if I give you my card. So the key is just going back and saving up. Right. And then, if I don't, I'm like, oh my gosh, you can have number one. So like I have that doing cards, you get an emergency share, and then I can share it. Text it,
Mhm.
email it. I have like a little bit of more credits. And I was I got sick of it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
oh, that's the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I was 200. Yeah, I feel like you are. I'm trying to see if I can outdo myself. I can outdo myself. That goes to my website. That goes to my page. It's like kind of like trying to finish something off where they just love us houses and stuff. And I didn't get to get into it. I intentionally.
Oh, it's something that they can.
He's so mean.
You should have this.
I do.
He's young, he's 20. Yeah, we work from home with help. I'm his mom here, works for the state.
Yeah, but
Yeah, to be careful.
Stephanie,
So I'm a work. To be like.
I always have PC, so I know.
Graduated was every night.
That's where.
But then I told you, it's really bad when you have this much things that you have to have. Yeah. And the first driver. And he was bad. Yeah. I was so upset. I didn't get to the prom. No prom. And then. I
Yes, I did some of everything.
back surgery. So I can get.
878. Now, please, you want that?
Oh, really? So I had.
Yeah.
So.
that might have
All right, my captive people.
I just didn't go.
I'm sorry, I'm taking off my high heels. Not that you care, but okay. Peggy,
Yeah.
have you all, like this is about like utilizing the apps. Do you all have the KW command downloaded? Does everybody have it downloaded?
I don't have it yet. I don't
Okay,
have it yet.
okay, so you go to the Play Store
Oh.
and get KW Command Business. So just that icon that you see there.
Yeah, I don't know. Most of them will have it, but probably not in the system.
You don't,
Just that it's up.
okay.
And I know when I did Ignite at Sure Dart, I was sitting there like.
Is this it?
What area are you in?
Yep, that's it. So you want to get it. So I'm gonna be really honest. I cannot speak with any authority about KW Command. Because, I mean, I have all the apps, but I have admin who handle all of that stuff. So I can't really speak to it or teach to it any more than what is in here.
Maybe at the app, if you could share your My KW app. which
Yes.
Gives them access to the same thing as if they were going on Zillow, but they're going onto your app to
Mhm.
see whatever they wanna see. And that way, when they heart it, it will show up on command, and you'll be able to get messages.
You get
And
notifications.
see that they're looking at houses. It's a great way to interact without direct inter.
Yes,
It's just a button to share it and transfer it.
Yes.
You have to physically go into your app and share the My KW app with them and send it to them by text or email, or whatever.
and it's just like the search that you would send them through MLS, the link that they would get that, except it's an app that they're driving around, hearting something, and then you're getting a notification.
And it's actually, it's national, so.
Yeah.
So they identify that they're in Richmond, or if they're looking in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter, they can, you'll still get notification that they've been on your app, and it'll say that they liked something, and they might be able to message you about it, or it's just a great way to not have direct contact. Like, a lot of people just wanna do that without.
Right.
You talking to them all the time.
Yeah, they don't wanna, they don't want an audience, but
And then command's helpful also on your phone to have it handy if you wanna see, kind of check in on a client where they are on your pipeline, or, you know, you can see all that.
yeah, I mean, well, no, exactly. It is your command central, right? It is essential to your business that you have the ability to get around in that. And I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I have it on my phone, but I'm not utilizing it. But I also haven't been selling really in the last, couple of years. I've been managing the team, so it's a little bit different in terms of, and they keep evolving the app so much.
It's limited though, it's not the same as being on your laptop.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of limitations, so don't depend on your phone or tablet.
right.
You have to have it on your laptop.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe tip two is to create your own account on that client facing
Mhm.
form, so you know what they're looking at. And then you can put it yourself and compare it to.
Or you can have I'm not a fan of setting up searches for clients. I'm a fan of setting up searches and putting it in the concierge mode so that that comes to you first. And then you can cherry pick what's in that comes up and then directly send it to them, one of those via text, and say, can you meet me at 5 to see this
Yeah.
today or tomorrow? Right? If you're just sending information to them, we're all in too much information land, right? And they're going to click, and they're going to ignore it anyway. And they're going to go to Zillow and they're going to click, right? So your value is in your morning time block routine. You're going to get on MLS. You're going to see the numbers for the area. Then you're going to look at your concierge searches and you're going to say, oh, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Smith have a search. Annie Potts has a search, and ding, 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 there's something there. And instead of sending them 12 homes, when you know there's only 3 in there that they actually, you believe, would consider, that's a way for you to control the information that goes to them and have it have direction from you. So you want a call to action attached to every piece of information that you're imparting. So a call to action is important. You want to make sure that you're doing that. So you're concierge searching, ding, 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 there's something in there, or there's nothing, and you're sending them a message. Hey, I am looking. I'm also networking for off market. You should be talking. Tuesday is really important in this office so that you can find out what is off market. Meaning someone has signed a listing agreement, but it's not incoming soon in MLS yet, and it's not in MLS, but it is an exclusive listing of this brokerage and you can show it. So Peggy showed my house when it was incoming soon because it was or she heard about it off market. I think it is. Yeah, I
So
think.
you saw one of my listings off market.
Yep.
Because it was office exclusive off market.
Yeah.
Investor property. Alexis, I had about 8 showings.
Yeah.
In the office, so it's a really effective.
Yeah, James.
I just want to get a better understanding of when we can show. Is that part of the listing agreement, office exclusive?
Yes.
Or what? How-
So when you sign a listing agreement with a listing client, you have an exclusive right to sell. You are the exclusive. In Virginia, we are all sub-agents. We're not the broker, right? This is a broker sub-agency state. Like Arizona is a broker state. So all agents are brokers in Arizona. But here we're a sub-agent state. So the broker technically is the one who has that listing, not you, not me, right? And so that broker has that listing. So any of the sub-agents in the brokerage can show that property from the time that listing is shown, as long as the seller's willing to allow pre-market showings.
Wow.
So you want to come and you also want to stay. So agents call me all the time. What do you have off market? Because my team has a large number of off market. Like right now, we only have like 11 or 12 that are off market, right? We've signed those listings. They're not going to go on the market until October, or they're not going to go on the market until November. But those clients are willing to allow that to be shown. And so you could talk to me, go and go see 4110 South Haven and put an offer in. If your clients like it, that means the seller has agreed to allow it to be seen. And we sell off market all the time.
Is that something that can be set up in showing time, or is this a phone call? to-
No, it's a phone call to the agent. Yeah, it doesn't, you can't book through showing time.
So it's
And
not public.
because it's not public. Yeah.
So just to clarify though, when you have a listing on MLS and you're incoming soon, you can't allow anyone to see the property. The minute anyone, even in the office, sees the property, has to come out of coming soon and go active.
Yeah.
It's a violation.
Yeah.
So, you know, you gotta be careful with this. They do come out.
Which
So
is
yeah,
why you
so
always
if
have
someone wants to
combo
see
book
the house
boxes
ahead
on
of
your
time,
properties as well.
Like if someone wants to see something ahead of time of when it's going active because they have an anxious client, you have to remember, if you open it up for that, you can't go back into coming soon.
Right.
You're open to anyone. So you can't just do it just for that.
What?
However, you as the listing agent can be present to show the property.
Yes, yes. But there's some strict rules in MLS
Mhm.
that don't align with the off-market rules. It's different.
Just depends on how aggressive you want to
Take
be.
that road rules class.
Yes, take the road rules class. So you get that's true. I mean, it
$50 pass.
gives you a pass, 100%. So you all have not covered social media at all?
No, there will be a Ignite class on social media.
Okay.
Coming up in the next week.
Okay, so this is important, and actually I learned this from Liz, actually, many years ago. She built her business on actually social media. So do not go down a rabbit hole with social media. Don't do it. What you need to do is have a plan, be consistent with that plan, and execute that plan daily. So take one day a week off and don't do anything. But Monday through Saturday, you're going to go on, and prime time is in the morning before people go to work. So sometime between 7:30 and 9. Lunchtime at between 11 and 1. And then after work, while they're sitting in traffic or pulling into their driveway, between 5 and 7, right? And you're going to go on and like 10 posts that you see that you genuinely like, right? You're going to write 5 comments a day. So if I post something and you like it, you're just going to say, wow, thanks for that information, or, oh, it's a great post, or, can't wait for the event, whatever. And then you're going to send one direct message, one private message, one DM, one PM, depending on the, what format you're using. And you're going to send a direct or private message that just says, would love to have coffee with you, or I'm so sorry to hear about the loss of your dog. But make that private, and direct, right? To start to establish a genuine connection, right? But it is very easy to scroll. It is very easy to be stuck on and overthink all of it. Make your shares personal, as well as business. Be a whole entity, be a whole person. You're not just a realtor, you're a mom, you're an auntie, you're an uncle, you're, a business person, and just be all of who you are, and just be consistent in that posting, right? So, let's see. I can't tell you how important handwritten notes are. They are hugely important. They're more important now than they've ever been. Because nobody takes the time to write them. And they don't need to, it does not need to be a paragraph. It needs to be 3 sentences. 4 max. And that's it. And it's a thank you note. It's a I'm thinking of you note. Buffini, if you belong to Buffini, or used to be that Buffini would send you 100 items of value and 100 thank you cards for the month. And, you know, you would send things out. That's how I learned to be in the habit of writing notes. You should write a note to everyone you meet. So if you're meeting 10 people a day, you should be sending 10 notes.
You gotta get their address.
You do have to get their address, you know, and everybody's different about like how creepy it is to look somebody's address up. But the truth is, you know, you have a name, you can look their address up. You know, or you know their business, you know, Williams at Integrity Mortgage, you just look up the Integrity Mortgage address, right? And can send it to his business office, right? But those are really important to send. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on having someone else write it? I'm really bad handwriting.
If you have somebody who will do that, yeah, I mean, you know, if you've got a teenager who will do it, or you've got somebody who, it's about the personal, but don't use like a printed, you know, font, you know, like a handwritten font, you know, don't do that. Like, make it real, even if it's messy, or even if you don't write in cursive, print, you know, whatever that is, just that personal thing really does make a difference. And we don't say nice things to each other, and we don't cheer each other on anywhere near enough. Right? Super important.
Sorry.
Full house, girl.
I do. When it's
Everybody take off your jacket.
Yeah, that's right. So that is, let's see, what does this say? Study your market, center report, preview homes. Previewing homes. There are a lot of agents that do not do that anymore. So if you don't have business, don't troll other people's listings for business. Like, don't go to open houses and troll for business. That's so rude. Do not do that. However, it is a way to just get in and see inventory and see how other people are doing open houses and what you would do differently. So that's, you know, that's a good thing. But previewing inventory, if you want to sell, like I said, in a certain neighborhood, then book an appointment in showing time and put a note in there previewing for client, you know, or previewing, you know, just previewing to know the inventory, so that the agent knows the truth and the seller knows the truth. And look for vacant properties to do that with, so that you are familiar, you know, you can get in and you're familiar with the types of homes in that area, and you're not disturbing somebody. They don't have, so that's why going to an open house in a really hot, high-end neighborhood where the home isn't, you know, vacant, is an opportunity for you to get in there, not displace the family, and still see the inventory.
And it's important to know that even if it says building show in the MLS, you have to book an appointment.
Yes.
You have to notify the agent. You can't just go to a house that has a lockbox and go in. I know y'all think that if that happens.
Oh,
And if you don't know that, you could do that and you could get in trouble. It's a violation.
it is a violation, yeah.
But it is really worth previewing houses.
Yes.
Joni, is there a resource that one can use to identify what it is you're looking at in a home? Meaning, when you go to see homes, sometimes there are various names of material and things or types. Or I've heard people identify something and call it, I don't know, is there anything that, I guess you could almost call it the anatomy of them? I guess when I say that goes from the structural construction, but I'm talking about the interior.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you can say, well, that's an archway, but there's other stuff inside that makes you informed if you're not an interior decorator.
Right. I would say crews like I mean, this is the bane of the real estate industry, but HGTV, you know, you do pick a lot up from HGTV, you do pick a lot up from, so I would use AI and I would go in and say, showing homes, you know, interested in interior architectural terms for homes built in the 1950s and 60s, you know, the early 1900s. And you'll get some terms to learn, and then you can take those terms and Google for pictures and other other insights. Because that, and it kind of depends on where you're selling, right? If you're selling in a prefab Eagle Construction neighborhood where they're doing arts and crafts homes, you know, then you want to know what that is, right? And you want to understand those terms.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking.
You know, if you're wanting to work with investors and you're working with multifamily property, you need to know that they refer to things as doors. Like, I'm looking to pick up 10 doors this year, right? And so they're not saying I'm looking to pick up 10 units. They're not saying I'm looking to pick up 10 houses or, you know, 10 buildings. They're saying doors, right? And that's generally a multifamily thing that they're saying. So I would use those resources.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also when you're going to open houses, picking up most of like the older firms in town. So like a Long and Foster, or, you know, even a Remax Commonwealth, the older agents, you know, are doing more expensive flyers,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of the terms in there. And you can pick that up and scan it and run it through AI and get them to tell you more about those terms, right? That's a good way to utilize that.
Yeah, thanks.
So Joan, I normally go to Parade of Homes every
Mhm.
single year.
Uh-huh.
So now I can't go unless I tell somebody to come.
Oh, no, Parade of Homes, you can go. Parade of Homes is open. That's generally,
Any kind of a new construction, where you can go see a home anytime.
Yeah.
Just if there's a lockbox.
if it's a private residence
right.
that has a lockbox and has a private listing,
Yeah.
you must schedule an appointment. But if you're going to new construction, you're just walking into the new construction model home, letting the agent know that you'd like to preview. And then they may need to give you a key to certain units, or they, you know, but you let them know. And you then ask, okay, what are your current incentives that you're offering buyers? You know, because you want to be well versed in those things. So you want to have conversation with the site agent for that. But in terms of like a Parade of Homes, or like the Holiday Garden Tour, like on Monument Avenue, or, you know, things that you need to buy a ticket for to do those things. I mean, you can do all of those things. It's just a private exclusive listing. Where there's a listing agent and a sign in the yard, you must, and if it says vacant, go show, you still must schedule the appointment in the Showing Time app. So you must have the Showing Time app on your phone, and you must have the CentraLock app on your phone in order to access properties. So you're going to need the KW app, you're going to need the CentraLock app, you're going to need the Showing Time app.
All apps.
All apps. It's all the apps, right?
What's a show and go that you're talking about?
It's just a type of.
It's a
you can
term.
Yeah, you can put that in Showing Time on your listing as it's immediate confirmation. Like you go in and you schedule it and it immediately says yes, because it means it's ready to show anytime. If you're driving by, you can go in your phone, say, I want to showing at 2 o'clock, it's 1:50. They'll confirm it and then you can go in. Yeah. We're going with that PC too.
Yeah, so this is the end of this module. I am not a KWU faculty member, so you would need to do the drop-down menu and just put Joni Justice in. And I think they want those evaluations. And we're done with section 3,
How you spell your name, Joan?
JOAN, capital E. Justice like the law. JUSTICE. You're welcome, honey. So I think you just,
Yeah.
touch the QR code on your screen and it brings it up.
You know, the other day when I tried to do that, it gets down to a couple of questions where you have to hit the word
Is it-
circle.
Uh-huh.
My mobile, it didn't allow me to identify the circle.
Hmm.
You press the circle to acknowledge.
Okay. Oh, can you see this one? Hold on. The glare.
See if that helps.
Oh, this is better.
What showing time do you get?
Um,
One showing time,
Yeah.
home by showing time?
yeah, it's not for the homeowner, so you're gonna go. It should say Realtor.
Here's the. You see it right here? Did you say show? Yeah.
Is, Patrice's last name.
Carol.
Oh, I'm on one team. My Sean told me about it. I was on there.
Oh, this one, okay. Let's see, so. Okay.
Okay. Oop,
In order, good night, good night, good night.
nobody should let me near technology. I'm real good in the woods, though. You can drop me anywhere. I got a great sense of direction. Okay. Isn't that supposed to like make you bigger?
Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay. All right, so your value proposition.
Good.
This is incredibly important. Ties into what we were speaking about earlier, know thyself. What you want to do is, your value proposition is your elevator speech. It's your 30-second sound bite. And it should be very clear and very concise and reflect who you are and what you want to do with your business. It's why you became a realtor, who you want to serve, how you want to serve. So, unique, memorable, persuasive, based on your values, you want to address. So I couched myself originally as an urban agent, specializing in readaptive and reallocation of use. So I was into redevelopment of existing properties, turning warehouses into condos, that kind of thing. So, I had a statement that put forth that, you might want to be the soccer mom realtor, you might want, you might only want to sell down at the river, you may really want to concentrate on first-time home buyers. You may want to really concentrate on investors. You may want to really concentrate on downsizers, so you don't have to necessarily specify that in that way, but you need to have clarity of the audience that you're trying to speak to so that you can really reach them, right? Because you're going to be reaching them a lot on social media and at events, whether you want to teach, whether you want to, work events like Virginia Housing and Development Authority, do classes. You should go to one of those and sit in so that you know what first-time home buyers are learning about budgeting and all the things that they need, right? So in developing this, it's really important that you do that. Top agents can easily explain what services they will provide to anyone who hires them. So benefits of a value proposition helps your clients understand your value and expertise, protects your commission and fee, builds strong and trusting relationships. And if I can say anything to you here that I hope that you take seriously to heart, do not be a discount agent. Don't do it. Don't devalue the industry. Don't devalue yourself. This is a complicated industry. People have a lot of illusions about this industry. The reality is that it is people's largest investment. It is extremely emotional. It's like getting your hair, like your hair and houses and, relationship. It's right. I mean, it's like so important to get it right. Don't be a my team, when we came here, we charged 7% commission and 5% to our team and 2% to a buyer's agent when we were doing that prior to the lawsuit, right? We still collect 5%, a minimum of 5% for our agents, and then the buyer's agent is negotiating their fee with the seller. There is no reason for you to be a discount agent. You're paying fees, you're a professional, you have vendors, you have relationships, you're running a business, red light, green light, and you cannot do your business for nothing. You cannot build a foundation with an empty cup. Cannot do it. Your cup must runneth over. Therefore, you must believe, and you must put the actions behind that belief that will get you to a place where you're competent and confident, both, right? I charge. I'm worth it. I have 21 years of experience, but I charged an admin fee 20 years ago when nobody was charging one. Our admin fee is $9.95. So you're paying me 5% plus $9.95 to admin fee to the team, right? 20 years ago, I was charging $249 for that admin fee. You all, if you're not going to do your own transaction coordinating and you're going to hire a transaction coordinator, then you need to add that fee into your buyer agency agreements, into your listing agreements, because you're running a business and that's a cost of sale. In the language of KW, that's a cost of sale, right? So value proposition examples. Airbnb exists to create a world where anyone can belong anywhere, providing healthy travel that is local, authentic, diverse, inclusive, and sustainable. Walmart, everyday low prices for a broad range of goods that are always in stock in convenient geographic locations. Slack, which my team uses, which I highly recommend if you have a team. Slack makes it downright pleasant to work together. It is a communication app, and you're able to have different channels for different folks. So as a single agent, it's not really so important, but as I said, you guys could put a Slack channel together. So, and then that way it's not going into your texts and there's a record of it and you can all communicate. Grammarly, great writing, simplified, mistake-free writing with Grammarly's AI-powered writing assistant. QuickBooks, send invoices in minutes, get paid 2 days faster. State Farm, here to help life go right. Right? That's just a tagline. So what you want is clarity in what you're sharing. KW and market center value, fiduciary, market expert. So I think we don't talk enough, and Gary used to talk about this all the time. We don't really talk so much about the fiduciary responsibility that everybody in this room has as a licensed realtor. You carry your errors and omissions insurance. It's part of your fees that you pay monthly here. And just like a surgeon, just like a doctor, just like a lawyer, like everybody carries errors and omissions insurance. Because you can be sued. And you can be sued because this is an emotional business. And there are many, many details in this business. And you must be on top of your game. You must cover all the details. And if you're great with people, but you're not great with details, then hire somebody who is great with details and make that investment early. Whether that's a virtual assistant who you can get through KW, or there are local companies that also have virtual assistants, whether you can team up and have 3 or 4 of you hire one assistant, there are many ways to do that. If you're going to be working on your business, have somebody who is working in your business to push the pipeline along, right? That's in the beginning, the first year, you're going to be worn out. You're developing all your systems. You're plugging into existing systems. You're setting yourself up. But once you start to get to a place where you're selling 24 homes a year, 36 homes a year or more, right? Then you need to make sure that what things that are not your strength are covered. And with regards to a fiduciary responsibility, you must know the contract. And I say this all the time to my agents. You better know that contract better than you know yourself. I better be able to say to you what's in paragraph 16, and you know that that's the inspection paragraph, and you know what's covered in that, right? What's section 23? You need to be able to answer me right away. That's additional terms. You need to know that. Like, you need to know that contract, which you can certainly speak to as a lawyer, right? So that's really key. So know the contract, know the listing agreement, understand what an addendum is and what its position in a contract is. You must know these things. So you need to be a market expert. You need to understand your KW office. You need to understand who's here, how they can help. And you also need to, really give time and effort to this. KW and Market Center Value. I have access to the collective knowledge and experience of nearly 200,000 agents worldwide. Fiduciary. I can point you to reputable resources for service providers such as handymen, window washers, tax associates, and financial advisors. Market expert. I can help you price your home to sell because I'm very tuned into the market of the moment. I would articulate those things perhaps a little differently, but incredibly important. What ahas do you have just about that?
You gotta know the contract. You know those contracts, know what you're giving someone else. Read it, go over it, know it front to back.
Do not ever have anybody sign anything that you have not gone over every paragraph of that with them. Please hear me. Electronic signatures are easy. They can come back and bite you, right? You don't have any guarantee they've read what they're signing. If they're an I, they're just like, oh, you sent it to me, and they sign it, If they're a C, they're like reading that period's in the wrong spot. That changes the meaning, right? So, yeah. So in my buyer agency presentation, when I'm presenting my value to you to get you to hire me as your buyer's agent, and I'm presenting my value proposition and you've agreed to work with me, part of what I'm explaining to you is, when we get under contract, we're gonna, have a home inspection. You're gonna set expectations about that inspection. One of the things I always did was provide a copy, a draft copy of a blank purchase agreement contract, and I cursorily went over it. Not every paragraph in detail at that point, but I reference, you know, this is the inspections. Here are the highlights of what's covered in this contract. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we will go over each of these paragraphs when we put together an offer for you. And you're going to go over that in person with them. Paragraph 1, this is the legal definition of the property. You know, this is the party, these are the parties, these are the members that are a party to this contract. You as an agent are not a party to the contract. The listing agent is not a party to the contract. The seller and the buyer are the parties to the contract. Section 2, legal description of where the property is, what the tax description is. Section 3, what conveys. You know, so they want all the appliances, plus they want the shed in the backyard, but that wasn't listed in the MLS, but you're going to ask for it anyway, right? You're going to go over every paragraph with them, and you're going to shake your head yes, and then you're going to ask them questions. Do you have any questions about that paragraph? No, I'm fine. Okay, then you move to the next. You know, if they don't have any questions, they don't have any questions, but you went over it in person with them, and that's imperative for anybody who is signing a legal document, and that's where your fiduciary responsibility comes into play.
Because if you don't, then legal issues can come up later.
Mhm,
Because I've seen leasing consultants,
mhm,
even when you're doing a new lease, not a renewal, but a new one,
mhm,
we're in a situation where they threw papers at us
mhm.
and didn't sit there and go through it with us.
Yeah.
And then later situations come up
Yeah.
because they didn't explain.
You didn't go over it.
Right, they're just telling you, oh,
Yep.
it's just like the other contract.
Mhm.
Well, if it's just like the other contract, why are you signing a new one?
Right,
You know,
exactly,
so, yeah, I
exactly.
see what-
So don't find yourself in that position. Anytime you take up front saves you time and money on the other end. Well, yeah, because you're gonna lose money, because you're gonna end up buying a washer and dryer. You will, I guarantee you, you'll buy a washer and dryer, you'll buy a ceiling fan. You know, somewhere in the beginning of your career, you're gonna miss something and you're gonna have to make it right. So being, you know, just being aware, because especially if you're serving multiple families quickly, it gets very easy to forget something, to overlook something.
I just have one question. Do y'all have, examples or, contracts that we can see?
Yeah, there's a contract writing class, which you will have to take.
Okay, good.
And so I think Patrice teaches that, and you will go over that contract codicil by codicil and learn how to explain it.
Good.
Okay?
1 o'clock today.
Is that,
It's 1 o'clock today virtually.
Oh, yeah.
oh, Hotman's teaching it? Okay, yes, so,
RW Training, and it's only virtual.
okay,
So it
Yeah.
provide an introduction of some kind, because I think it's only an hour.
Uh-huh.
But if you want to take this down, you can just go on Zoom. KWRWtraining.com.
Yeah, we can.
Okay,
Yeah.
so at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
and Michael's a broker, so he's teaching, you know,
You may want to turn off a copy of the contract.
Yeah,
Or ask someone to do it for you.
that's helpful.
yeah, super important. So the purpose of real estate for buyers, their goal is to find just the right home at the best price in the right time with the least number of problems, right? For a seller, they're looking to get the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of problems. Common denominator is your ability to make things easy for the people you are serving. You can make things easy by understanding the contract, by understanding your fiduciary responsibility, by over communicating. Do not be in a position where you have under communicated. Even if you have a D who really doesn't want communication, do it anyway. It's CYA. Do it. Over communicate. It's really essential to success. Communication solves 98% of the problems, right? Top 10 service areas of a buyer value proposition. Providing a needs analysis with the client. You're going to sit down and do a needs analysis. When you meet with them, what are they looking for? Are they looking for, you know, a 3-bedroom home with 1 bath? Are they flexible? Do they have to have a fence? When I met with couples, and I still do this if I were to meet with a couple, I would say, give me your top 5 must-haves. Like, I'm not moving to this house if I don't have it. And then give me another 5 that are important that you wish you would have, right? And then I say the same to you, right? Because what I found was that couples don't speak to each other, right? And then they sit there and go, wait, you want that? What? You want that? You have to have that? And it eliminates that up front right there at that meeting. It forces them to get on the same page, right? And provides clarity, right? Clarity contributes to effective communication, speed. Clarity is essential. A pre-qualification or pre-approval.
Sorry for interrupting.
There's not a plug, is there?
I think there's one behind Mel. But I don't know.
How low is the battery?
It's right there. Oh, right here. I'll give you that and then we'll plug it in. Sorry, everyone.
I mean, that's what I got out, I'm sorry.
No.
Searching for that.
No, that's okay.
You're welcome.
Will that work? I'm sorry, sweetie.
you're fine,
Excuse me. Will that work? Okay.
Are we charging?
No, she's not in there yet. Yep.
There we go. Okay,
Perfect.
sorry.
Save the day.
I tried.
Yeah.
I
So the pre-qualification and pre-approval, when you are at the meeting with your buyer, you are going to connect them to the lender immediately. So if I have a buyer agency appointment at 5 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, I'm calling George, my lender, and saying, hey, I'm meeting new buyers at 5. Are you available to have a quick conversation at 5? And if he says no, then, you know, I might call William. Are you going to be available? Whoever's going to be available. And if they're not available, then you're at the very least, my favorite thing is to, if they say yes, okay? And then I call them and I have them on speakerphone. Hey, George, I'm with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We've just had a great meeting, have a lot of ideas about what they, you know, what they're looking for. What we'd like to do is start the process for pre-qualification and pre-approval. And then George says, that's terrific. He may take a few bits of their information right there to start, because you want to take the sting and the fear out of it, right? Because nobody wants nobody up in their business, right? It's the nakedest moment of your life. And so nobody likes it, right? So if they have a smiling face, a kind voice on the phone, they've been connected, they've had a positive meeting with you, then they will get pre-approved. They will move the needle, right? And if they can't qualify, then they're going to go in the file of nurture. The lender is going to have a program that can nurture them, and you're going to honor them by keeping them in your database and staying in touch with them in an appropriate amount of time, once a month, once every, you know, whatever. They, you know, the lender may say they need to be in this program for 3 months. They got to pay a few things off and then they'll qualify, right? But you're not going to drop them because they can't buy today, right? Because those are the people that you do help who actually get in a home who will refer you nonstop because you didn't treat them like crap. You didn't forget about them because they couldn't buy right away, right? You're cultivating relationship and community. Super important. Neighborhood information. You want to know what school districts they need to be in. If they have a need for a certain neighborhood because of their work and they don't want to travel more time or etc. You want to explain the home search process and let them know that you provide a concierge service. You want to, you know, explain what making an offer looks like. We talked about that a minute ago. You want to explain negotiating. You want to set as many expectations as you can set in this first meeting with those buyers is going to be the key to how smoothly that transaction goes. If you do not effectively set expectations, the tail's gonna be wagging the dog the entire time. And you are gonna be bruised from head to toe from banging your head against the wall. It's gonna be bad. So you need to set the expectation. They are not gonna get everything they want, most likely. So you need to set that expectation. You need to say, home inspections are to find out, per the contract, where you pull the contract out, substantive defects is what you can ask for. Now you can ask for the sun and the moon, right? I don't like that pink room. I want them to paint it white. They're not gonna paint it white, but you can ask, you know? But we're not gonna be silly, right? We're looking for leaking roofs. We're looking for structural damage. We're looking for pipes leaking. We're looking for outdated electric, things that are a hazard to a family. Those are the things you're going to negotiate. So you want to set that expectation with them at that first meeting so that they don't think that, well, I don't like the black appliances. I want stainless steel. And they don't have some weird expectation that they can get what they want, right? Because they get a little out of control. They read things on the internet and they think they can just, or they watch hardball show, realtor shows on HGTV and they think they're, tough, Yeah. Yeah. So understanding the process yourself and the contract and being able to convey that effectively is essential, right? Top 10 service areas of the seller value proposition. You're going to provide a CMA, right? You're going to provide a range that home can sell in. At one end, it's going to be sells super fast, most people through the door. In the middle is going to be a good number of buyers, a little more days on the market. And at the high end, it's, reaching for the stars, right? So that's important, but you also have to convey it's their home. They get to say, but I won't take a listing if it's not within that range, unless I feel really strongly that they'll wake up quickly. And then in the listing agreement itself, I write, if we're on the market for 7 days and we don't have 3 buyers minimum, with a realtor through the house, then an adjustment needs to be made. And I put that adjustment in the listing agreement, right? So property preparation, that's when you're going to talk to them about staging, handling any, minor repairs or major repairs that would need to be done. You're going to let them know you have providers, you have a stager, because you're going to meet with a stager and you're going to have them on your vendor list and you're going to have a relationship with them. You're going to have a marketing strategy that you can share with them. With Keller Williams, you have over 1,200 marketing channels that their listing is going to be distributed on. You're also going to cover your social media, etc. Yeah.
When it comes to your staging, are you including that in your admin fee as well?
No, the stager gets paid separately. So directly, like the stager charges this. So my team pays for the consult.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
Yeah.
So we're a little different.
Yeah. So my team pays for the consult, right? But we get a discount on that consult because we do so many, right? You need to meet with the stager and establish a relationship. So like Beth Pretty, who is in the KW office in Midlothian, she works with Transformations by Jill. Jill's a great, Jill Johns. She's a great person.
Of course.
I
had a course.
Yeah.
Of course at Virginia Union.
Yeah. Yeah. She's great. So she was my stager for years. And so Beth has a deal with her, like she pays $750 to Jill for like every listing to be staged, right? She has a deal with her. But so everybody does something different. You're starting out, what you want is the relationship. You need to look at stagers. You need to look at their websites. You need to see if they're licensed agents or not, because if they're licensed agents, I don't want them. They need to stay in their lane, right? I don't want them having access to my listing, right? I'm competitive. That's just the way it is. So you want to sit down, interview them, ask them about their business, ask them how long their inventory's sitting in, how, do they have a place? Do they actually have inventory? Or are they just going in and dealing, because we have two stagers. We have one who just goes in and deals with the home the way it actually is, and she's working with the furniture that they have in the house and the things that they have in the house. And then we have one that has a warehouse full of inventory, and she's able to stage vacant homes or able to stage, bring in supplemental furniture.
So we're asking that client to pay that fee there.
The stager is
At this
asked,
stage.
yes. So you're making a choice.
I just want to hear. what-
Right, you're just making a choice. Is that a value proposition? I pay for your staging consult. If you have a stager who's willing to charge you $150 for that consult or $200 for that consult, and you consider that a valuable asset, then you pay that, and that's an out-of-pocket expense, right? Red light, green light. You're gonna look at your budget and you're gonna go from there, right? And make that choice. You're gonna talk about with the seller, they bought this house, but they may not have moved for 20 years. They may not have moved for 10, 12 years. The real estate market changes every 10 minutes, right? So you need to update them on what it looks like when they receive an offer. They're hiring you to negotiate. So this house that I just sold, I got an offer. It went on the market on Wednesday. Our homes go on the market on Wednesday for my team, so that it has 48 hours to populate to all the sites. And then an open house is done over the weekend. Now, in the speed market or in a high desirable area, it may go under contract by Monday or Tuesday, and I may know it's going to have multiple offers, and I may set that expectation in the agent notes. All offers need to be in by Monday at noon. We'll be reviewing with the seller on Tuesday morning or whatever, right? You can set that. However, I got a lowball offer out of the gate with an owner occupant. And I was like, I priced this property with the seller, and we took into consideration the fact that it was not updated, but it had a brand new roof, had a brand new heating system, had 3-zone AC, and one of the zones was brand new, had hardwood floors throughout every room except the kitchen and the baths, had 2 fireplaces, beautiful old classic home, right? But I priced it to sell given that, right? The seller and I came to an agreement and we priced it at $550. The house across the street, 3 houses down, went on the market same week, had 2 offers out of the gate, went under contract above asking, and it was at $720 was the listing price, right? Now it only had 1 garage and it wasn't all brick. Mine had a 2-car garage and all brick, right? But I knew there were things that needed to be done, and I was working with the seller to price it strategically to get tremendous traffic through in a high sought after area. So we had 10 showings the first day. Second day we had 5. Saturday, the open house, we had more than 6 parties come through who came through with contractors and came through with, and stayed for, as I said, more than 20 minutes. They were vested. First offer I got was below asking. I just went back to the agent and said, not acceptable. The seller won't consider this. The house is priced accordingly for this reason. So he went back, and I got that offer above asking. It came in at $525, right? Because people are thinking they don't have to pay full price and all that, and I'm like, in that neighborhood you do, and I'm hired to protect that price and to get it up, right? So I got several other offers, and I did the same thing. You're playing, you're there to represent the seller. You're not there to make friends with the agent, and you're not there to help the buyer. You're not being rude or awful, you're communicating really clearly and effectively, but you're aggressive to protect your client. And I needed to get my client the most money. By getting that initial first offer up to $555,000, I was then able to get an offer with an escalation clause that was 10,000 above highest and best and didn't have concessions, right? You know, so it's not just about price. That's something also that you must understand. It's terms are equally powerful to price, right? Because the home inspection was waived on the offer that won. The first offer waived single line items less than $2,000, right? But the waived inspection with the escalation clause is what won. But I needed the first offer to get up high enough that I could then get the other offer up high enough and get the terms I wanted.
So although the offers were low and you were not gonna accept that for your client, did you still have to present it to?
I let the client know, you must let them know. He said to me, I don't want to see nothing until you got the one, right? So I had a previous history with him. But what I do with a client that I don't know is that I let them know I'm negotiating on their behalf. They've received an offer. I'm going to send it to you via email. However, this is not the only offer you're going to receive. So per our conversation and agreement, we will go over offers on Monday or Tuesday or whatever day, right? Please afford me the time you've hired me to represent you and your best interest. Allow me the time to do that job, right? Because if I had just taken that first offer that came in and hadn't set the expectation with him that I could get it above that, because I had full belief I could, then he might have said, well, I don't want the hassle. You know, my mother-in-law's sick, and she is, you know, I want to get this done. She's 102. I want to get this done before she, you know, passes. And he might have agreed to take that and left, you know, 50,000 on the table, right? So it's your job to understand what can be negotiated and make it clear to the seller that they're hiring you to do that.
Right.
And they're not going to jump. Now, also, conversely, if that first buyer had come in at 575, he might have taken that offer, because I believed we were going to end up at about 560, somewhere between 550 and 575. And we landed at 565. But if somebody had come in with an offer at 575, even if there had been inspection items and I had negotiated it to like no line item, you know, more than $2,000 will be considered blah, 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 then I could have still protected the bottom line. So it's, you know, you have to be present. You have to understand the neighborhood. You have to understand the market. You have to have that's part of negotiating. Super important that you have clarity around that. Okay. What buyers want most from their agent? They want help to find the right home. They want help to negotiate. And they want help with negotiation on terms and with price, right? But 52% of those buyers want you to help them find the right home. And part of your job, to your point earlier, James, is understanding architecture, is understanding basic construction, is understanding you and a buyer could go into a home and I could walk in and I could go, they covered up a leak up there, because I'm familiar, right? I'm not looking around going, oh, it has the hardwood floors and it has the fireplace and it's painted the colors I love and it has the great garden in the front. I'm in and I'm going, okay, this is a bad flip. And they didn't fix that HVAC thing, and and the systems are old, and I'm not necessarily saying that out loud initially, because it's not my job. They might not care about any of that, and as long as they know that, as long as they are informed, and they're making an informed decision, that's your job. It is not your job to go, you don't want this house. There's a leak up there and you're gonna have to replace this roof in 2 years. Well, you don't know, right? That's not your job. It's not your job to insert your tastes or your take on a home. It is your job to assess your buyer's needs and desires, get them to a place where you can see, they can see homes that come close to meeting that criteria. That's imperative. But it is not your job to rain on their parade. It is your job to provide specific, pertinent information. And if they like the home, this is another thing that's very important. Don't show somebody like 10 homes in a day. Don't do it. Number one, there's only 5 that they're going to remember. So pick the right 5. And one of the most successful things you can do in that buyer consult is to pull up the MLS and go through. They say, oh, I want 3 bedroom, 1 bath, and I want to be in area 20, whatever. Then you pull it up. You pull the criteria up right in front of them on the MLS and spend 10 or 15 minutes going through homes of what they say they want. Child, I just gave you a platinum nugget.
Yeah.
Our most successful buyer agent is also a partner in Atlanta, Lindy Moore, and she does that. And she will take a buyer out and 2 days, boom, they're under contract. She never shows more than 5 houses a day. I never showed more than 5 to any buyer I've ever served either. So that's about listening and also about doing that at the buyer consult.
And when you're doing that at the buyer consult, your objective at that time is what is that?
Is to get them to see whether their likes and wants are realistic, right? I want a 3 bedroom, 1 bath in area 20, but I want to pay 300,000. No, a 3 bath, 1 bath in area 20 is 650,000, right? But a third party is telling them that, not you, because then I just sound like I don't want to get them what they want, or I sound like a smarty pants, right? But if the MLS is showing them that, then it's setting their expectations appropriately. It's visual, it's interactive. You're looking at, you can also see, they say they want this, but they're lighting up like a Christmas tree at that, right? They said they didn't want any rugs, but every house they've lit up like a Christmas tree is new construction and has rugs. You know what I'm saying? So that's then you giving them that feedback. Hey, I wrote down that you said this, but we're looking right now and you seem to really enjoy these other, you're lighting up with these other homes. Oh, I really thought I wanted XYZ, but maybe I don't. Right? So you're making your job easier and you're getting them prepped. Right?
So it's okay for them to see like what we see on the MLS. I mean, like if you're like guiding them through it.
Yeah.
Not like here's the
Yeah, you're
law.
not. Yeah. No. Yeah. But yeah, no, absolutely.
What was the no for?
You're not giving them your access to the MLS. You're not like giving them your passwords or any of that kind of stuff. So for buyers in choosing an agent, they want an honest and trustworthy agent. They want an agent with experience and reputation. And for you all at the beginning, you're going to lean into the office reputation, and you're going to lean into being honest and trustworthy and prepared. You're not just showing up with a piece of paper to take notes, give a little bit of a, have some slides available that have your professional picture on them, that a slide that represents your team. This is get your lenders, picture PDF, get your 2 lenders, and I always had a male and a female lender because some people don't, that could matter to people, right? So get their pictures and put them in Canva and create a slide for your presentation. Here's my transaction coordinator. Here's my stagers. Here's our home inspectors, So provide, you don't have to have a big elaborate presentation, but you do have to have something that differentiates you somehow, right? And for sellers, reputation is everything and experience is everything. They want you honest, they want you trustworthy, and they want your experience. you know? Now, if you have one that doesn't ask you about that and it's a referral, then it's great. Then you're just gonna come in with confidence, with the market data, with communication, with great eye contact, mirror and matching their personality so that they can hear you. And you're gonna swing for the fences and get it, right? Okay, so KW Technology and your value proposition. So they announced this week, I know that Kyle has gotten a Canva account for the office, which will be preloaded with office templates, right? KW templates. You should be able to personalize those as well. Again, I'm not queen of tech, so I don't want to enumerate too much on that. Patrice is decent at tech. You know, there are other people who are, you know, she learns the important things to be able to help you guys, you know. It's just that I have a team of people who do that stuff and I never have to think about it. So I don't want to lead you, and I can tell you the importance of it and that you do need to dive in, and they're giving you the tools to do that effectively and easily as possible. So attend those classes, do those classes online, pay attention to that. It is going to be key for you to be able to compete professionally with teams. You know, you're all coming in as individual agents. You don't have the backing of a team to plug into. So that can be a great thing because you can create your own thing. But you will be competing against other people who do have those resources. So be prepared. How about some other ahas? You're almost done.
I think it was great. I really like everything you said.
Oh, thank you.
I really like calling reminder for application. I feel like that's even more of an introduction than
It is.
So yeah, I really like that.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good. I hope you do. It does make a difference.
Yeah, I'm gonna implement the MLS pull up in my buyer's presentations. It's a big,
win.
that'll save me a lot of time.
It will save you huge amounts of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get so much data from their reaction, you know, all of that. It bolsters their needs and wants and recalibrates the things that need to be recalibrated.
Save me
And
showing 3 or 4 houses.
right, no, exactly. And so you want your time and you want their time to be spent effectively, right? The most effectively that you can. And so that's what systems and models allow you, right? It's the rails, and you're staying in that really makes a big difference.
How long do you average for a buyer's presentation?
About an hour and
About an hour.
15 minutes or so.
Okay.
Depending on, you know, how many houses you look at, depending on the personality profile. Like a
Right.
D or an investor is not going to sit through that. You know, right? So you're gonna hit the highlights that show you know what you're doing
Mhm.
to them, and providing enough authority. If you have a family, a husband and wife come in and the kid's got a little toy and they're playing in the corner, you're gonna be there an hour and 15 minutes because you're gonna find out her likes and needs and his likes and needs, because you take her top 10 list and his top 10 list
Mhm.
and in front of them, put them in front of them, and then you go, okay, there's 20 things here. So we need a mutual top 5 must have and a mutual top 5 want to have.
You actually give them a piece of paper
Oh, yeah.
and tell them to write down. their-
Uh-huh. We're gonna do this right here, right now. And you may think it's silly, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, but I promise you it is not. And then I make a little funny joke about, you know, them not knowing what the other one's thinking, or, you know, they're too busy, or, you know, whatever. But inevitably, it's like, you need that? You did not tell me that. we are not going there, you know, whatever. But it opens all of that so that they're not in the car, you know, arguing between houses because I'm never living in that neighborhood or I'm not, you know, it eliminates all of that. You're more effective and therefore they enjoy the process more. And that's key to referrals, to future business, to you appearing competent in what you're doing. Hugely important.
Get those 5,000.
Yeah.
10.
Mhm. And I, you know, I don't have people in my car anymore, but when I had people in my car, like I would pick clients up at the airport who were coming in from out of town or something like that, or they weren't from local. And then I would have them in my car and I would have whoever the dominant personality was in the relationship, regardless of their personality profile, whoever the decision maker was, they would sit in the front. And they would both have client MLS sheets. And we go in and see a house. And the first house, and I'd be like, okay, what's positive about this? What's negative, etc. Then we'd go to the next house. Okay, what's positive? What's negative? Okay, between this one and that one, which one are you buying? You know, which one is the winner? And then they'll hedge and they don't, and I'm like, there's a winner. There always is. And then I would make them crunch up the one that wasn't the winner and throw it in the back seat. Or throw it in the trash, you know, trash can I have in the car. But like a visceral, like, okay, I'm gonna let that one go. And that works. So that kind of tangible thing makes a big difference. Making them stand there and write some things down. Right? Or highlighter. I gave them a clipboard, the 5 houses we were seeing, and they had a pen and a highlighter. And that was just part of my realtor box in my car. So I had 4 clipboards. I had a thing of pens and a thing of highlighters. I had tissues. You have the little packs that I could give. I always had a little coloring book and color crayons for the kids to be able to sit or whatever. I always had extra toilet paper and I always had cleaning supplies, you know, like a Windex or a cleaning thing and paper towels for open houses, like empty open houses that needed, you know, I got to pick up the bugs out of the kitchen sink or whatever. And I had that was my realtor box that was in my kit that was in my trunk. So I highly recommend that you do that because you're going to get stuck at a house someplace and you're going to need to use the facility and you're not going to have, you know, there's not going to be anything there, or you're going to come in to do an open house and it's a vacant house and there's going to be spiders in the sink and, you know, the toilets haven't been flushed and you've got a ring around it, all the things. And you just need to be prepared for that.
It's amazing how many, like we were looking for a house and the realtor did not notice this huge cockroach. And the place had no furniture. I don't know how he could miss it. So I just told him, I said, you know what? We're going into real estate, but I'm just gonna tell you so the next people that see it, you might want to get rid of that cockroach. It's like,
I
yeah.
learned that the hard way at an open house.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have a broom, the floors were
Yep.
nasty and I
Yep.
couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And the lady walked in and goes, you know, when ladies walk in a house, they want to see a clean house.
Yep.
Yeah.
I said, ding, 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 ding.
Yep.
So I got a small broom and a
Yep.
little portable vacuum I keep in my
Yep.
car now. Because
It's huge. And
first impressions are what makes the difference.
And
It's
also,
filthy.
those odor eater, like the no, don't get anything that has a scent. There's a super odor eater, renews it. You can buy them $10 for, you know, $10, you know, $1 each. I kept those in my car because they would eat a smell like crazy. So I had those for vacant listings and, you know, etc. So you'll learn that, I mean, and don't, as an aside, I'm not supposed to be teaching this, but I will just say this in terms of open houses. If you're going to use open houses as a means to get clients, then do it with seriousness and make it work for you. That means if you sign up on Wednesday to get somebody's open house for the weekend, then you need to go preview that house. You need to do a preview video of that and put it on social media. You need to plug it into the Canva templates and print out flyers. You need to go an hour early and knock 5 doors on the right, 5 doors on the left, and 10 across the street. Make it work for you. Do a video while you're there during the open house to get that traffic. But make it work for you. Do not show up, smack some signs in the yard and think people are going to show up. You need to make sure that whoever's open house you're doing that for, that they have it in MLS, open house. You need to make sure, double check on Thursday, is it showing up on Zillow and Realtor.com and Homes.com? Open house this weekend, 11 to 2, whatever it is, 12 to 2. Make your open houses short, 2 hours max. It forces people, the neighbors, everybody else, it forces everybody to get in. It also creates competition. Oh, there's a lot of people. I didn't think there were going to be that many people here. Wait a minute, we really like this house, right? Creates a sense of urgency. So no 3-hour, 4-hour open houses. No, get in there early. It's your responsibility to preview that. You owe that to the seller, to the listing agent who provided you the opportunity. And when it's your listing, I always have a buyer's agent. Even if I did the open house, I always had a buyer's agent because I represent the seller and there's certain things I can't disclose or, say, or, I didn't want to be in an awkward position to not be able to answer a question. So it's always best to have a buyer's agent do it. So I think identify your knowledge, attitude, skills, and beliefs that make you qualified to be a great real estate agent. Transform the value you provide and the value of KW and your market center into benefits for your clients, and build your value proposition statement. Right? And I think that's it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
One more quick question. on the process.
Absolutely.
So I just took the road rules thing because I like having that waiver in my back pocket.
Yep.
That's
you do.
take it every year.
Yep.
But they mentioned in there that I gotta have written permission from the listing agent to be able to put videos for an open house online. Is that, do you?
Just get an email or a text.
Text or an
Just a
email?
text or an email. Hey, Bob, can you just send me a text that just says it's okay that I'm doing your open house? Then I'm posting media on the open house I'm covering for your listing.
Okay,
And then Bob just says yes. And then you screenshot that and stick it in your file.
same thing with pictures?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cause doesn't technically Keller Williams own the pictures once you sign that form?
MLS owns the picture.
MLS does, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, MLS owns them. So, yeah, you just want to that's not something most people are going to nail you on, but it's an
No.
easy thing to just have a text and screenshot it and stick it in your file.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really grateful to y'all. I don't get the opportunity to teach at the Market Center very often. And so I'm grateful to have the opportunity to teach today. Thank you for putting up with my rusty, I don't follow all the rules thing. But I hope
Makes
that
it so good.
I hope that you got a lot out of it, and I'm immensely grateful. And I'm available. So my cell is 804 539 9779. And it's Joanie, Joan, capital E, and Justice like the law, Justice. Joanie, Joan, capital E. And then Justice is my last name. And my phone number is 804 539-9779.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm happy to be of service and help in any way that you might need. And again, I really appreciate y'all hanging 10 with me to teach. You're welcome.
Oh, man.
Go forth and win.
Deal with the tax accountant now.
I have my appointment at 4, so
Hey, the man.
hey, the man. Make sure you have a business entity, y'all.
Yeah, I need to start an LLC.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Is that?
I have a couple of investors that are looking some slots on the property, but I would love to connect.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Send me a message.
And this is